right.
So Bleacher Report added again, no crazy trades, but they talked about their biggest wins and losses this year. And the Pistons, the biggest one was hiring Monty Williams. That was a big win. And then the loss, I'm kind of surprised, we'll touch on this in a second, was that they didn't bring in enough wings, or they still lack wing depth. But let's talk about the biggest win. I'm glad that they acknowledged Monty and they weren't calling it a move for desperation. The only knock on that part would be that they said the Pistons could lose, or the Pistons will be spending up to $100 million. Again, it's not the Pistons exactly spending money on the coach's salary. That does come from the owner himself. It doesn't affect the salary cap. I don't know if that's what they were alluding to, but what were your thoughts on the biggest win?
Yeah, I mean, if Bleacher Report thinks that, we're going to use a salary cap on Monty Williams, I guess they're as dumb as Gilbert Arenas. But, I mean, if you see Little Caesars pizzas going up, you know why.
Oh, my gosh. I hope not.
I got season tickets have already, skyrocketed. They've went up $200 already.
Don't even get me started about that. I've had conversations about this, and it annoys the hell out of me.
I think it's a fair for the biggest win. I mean, you arguably get a top 10 NBA coach in Monty Williams. I think that is a win, whether you guys want to think it is or not. Yeah, you had to spend a whole lot of money to get the guy, but you're getting a top tier coach in the NBA. Now, for the loss, I actually do agree with Bleacher Report. I did want the Pistons to sign more wing depth. You got Joe Harris. Cool. I would have loved to try to make a move at a Torrey Craig or, someone like that. But we haven't yet. I think we have $300,000 in cap space. Maybe there's a trade coming. Maybe there's not. I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed from the free agency standpoint, just because we got reports all year that we're going after Cam Johnson, Kyle Kuzma could be in play. I thought we were going to be one of those teams that used their cap space to be part of free agency, but we didn't. We're kind of looking into next year to use our cap space. Now, whether or not we participate in free agency, we're going to have to wait and see. But I think with Bleacher Report, I would agree. It is a big loss not signing more wings for this team. I think you're really, if you're looking from an outsider looking at the Pistons are really hoping that their core players that they have develop and they hit. And if they don't, then you're kind of like, shit.
So, or when they say wing, are they just talking about the 3 spot? Because
yeah, a small forward. You got a Sore Thompson, but it would have been great to, get another one, like a Kelly Oubre or something like that to kind of complete the roster.
So one thing that I had a problem with their biggest loss was they said, and I'm reading this, getting one more 6'9" defender who can space the floor. So there's nobody on this team that even fits that criteria right now for the Pistons. But also, I looked this up on NBA.com, and according to NBA.com, there's only 24 players in the NBA that are actually 6'9". So it's not not even every team can actually put a guy that's 6'9" on their roster to space the floor. They're kind of rare, even by today's NBA standards. So I'm nitpicking at this just a little bit. I do agree with them. I do think it's the biggest loss because I'm with you. I would have liked to see them use the salary cap a little differently. I remember that we did a couple of podcasts where we said if Cam Johnson isn't an option, who would you want them to go for to play the 3 or the 4, to help spread the floor? And we were throwing out guys like Kelly Oubre. You said Torrey Craig. I threw out Harrison Barnes. I wouldn't have mind them taking a shot at a Darius Baisley. He's Troy Weaver knows about him. He was in OKC when Baisley was there as well. So there were a few guys I would have liked them to go after. I really don't think it's a huge, if it is the biggest loss, I'm kind of like, okay, it's not that big of an issue because you do have Cade coming back. Bojan's healthy. You did bring in Joe Harris, Asor Thompson, Isaiah Livers. I'm okay with those guys playing on the perimeter for the Detroit Pistons. The other thing I do have a question for you though, but I do want to bring this up. The last part of this little spot that they talked about, the biggest loss was they said a Marvin Bagley the third and Reggie Bullock swap with San Antonio would help better the roster. They're really pushing that trade pretty hard. We talked about it last week, and it just cracks me up that they brought that up again.
I don't know how Reggie Bullock makes this team better.
Yeah, he's not 6'9". I don't get it.
I think he's 6'8", but like, yeah, he's a good 3-point shooter when he's on, but when he's not on, he doesn't really provide anything else. He doesn't have a tight handle. Like, he's just a catch and shoot small forward or shooting guard, whatever you want to categorize him. And I don't know why Bleacher Report's dead set on trading Bagley to. I think Bullock plays in San Antonio now. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah, they said San Antonio. Did I say Dallas? No,
yeah, I could have sworn he was part of a trade for San.
No, he is in San Antonio. He is in San Antonio.
Okay, yeah, like I'd rather keep Bagley, but I mean, for the most part, I do agree with them. I thought Monty Williams was a big time win, and I thought the loss, not getting a wing, 100% agree. Like, I love Asor Thompson. I think he's going to be a great player, but I would have loved a little bit more wing depth because I don't really know if Isaiah Livers can give me 50 games. I don't really know if there's a guy on the training camp that could crack this team. Like, I don't know if a Jared Rhoden could crack this roster right now because he had an okay summer league, but not on the defensive end of the floor. All he did was score. He didn't really play lockdown defense. So that was probably my only takeaway from this article. Like, I did agree with them. He didn't really get another small forward to complete this roster yet.
Okay, so I know that they brought up Monty Williams for the biggest win, but looking through the article, there are some teams where they praise them for their draft, like Dallas right here, moving back from number 10 to number 12 to get and moving on from Davis Bertans' contract. But they bring that up. But I mean, don't you think getting Asor Thompson at 5 and then trading up to get Marcus Sasser at 25, couldn't that be considered a big win for the Detroit Pistons?
I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Asor. I think he's going to be one of the most complete rookies this year because he doesn't play like a rookie. To me, he's just kind of a guy that doesn't play his age. He's just very calm and under control. I think he'll be a good player. I don't know if I would consider that a win, though, because he was there at 5. And I think most people had him all year as a top 5 pick. We were talking about it like in October or November. Like, he was in my top 5 all year, him and his brother. But I think Sasser, again, I'm not 100% sure if other teams would have taken him in the 20s. He might have been an early second-round pick. Now, I could be 100% wrong with that, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of Sasser buzz among the draft community. They thought he was a good player, and he'll be a good player here in Detroit, but I think a bigger win was Monty Williams because you had to get that coach right because you're still in that rebuilding phase. And to me, I think getting Monty is a bigger deal than drafting Asor Thompson and Marcus Sasser.
Okay. I mean, I do think bringing in a good coach, that's important. And I do consider it still the biggest win. But I don't know, still coming away with 2. I mean, they both showed out in Summer League, and I'm basing it all off of that. Based on how they played in Summer League, I'm like, you kind of have to factor that in a little bit. Like, I feel like the Pistons had a pretty good offseason for the most part. Yeah, there are some complaints, but getting those 2 players who, again, based on Summer League, look like they're going to be a part of your future going forward, I think that would be considered a win as well. Not arguing with Bleacher Report. I think the win, they got it right. I feel like the loss, though, I don't know. It felt like it kind of felt like they just breezed through the loss, though. I felt like, maybe a bigger loss was not moving on from Marvin Bagley or, not moving on from James Wiseman or anything like that. I'm not saying the Pistons would have, but I think you could have considered that a loss as well, versus just not.
Yeah. I know this is off topic, but I mean, You could have kind of jumped Houston to get Cam Whitmore. Like once you saw him fall out of the lottery, like I don't know if he's a Troy Weaver guy, but he had a phenomenal summer league, and he was a summer league MVP. He looked like a guy. I didn't see no back injury. He was dunking. He was stealing. I think he had like 8 steals in one summer league game. He looked great out there. I know that's a player that I see a lot of Pistons fans right now. They're still pissed off about that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like they wanted Whitmore at 5.